So let's introduce ourselves and get this going.
So, hi friends. You all know me, but you might not. I'm Barone Orazio. I'm the Barone of bgwlad.
I am Hersirkona kolfinna. I am the Baroness of bgwlad, and we are together also Lord and Lady of Hell's Gate. And we are going to talk to you today about awards, regalia, and
Courtly graces.
woo! And I think I have them that we're going to talk about them in that order as well. I went round and around on on the order of the things. So just start us off with some pictures, get us in the mood. We're talking about nobility, calling folks into a court. Shamelessly used a picture from our Heraldic and Scrabble Symposium with Escarlata. Speaking words, right? Delivering scrolls, presenting insignia. These are all things we're going to talk about today. And you'll probably see these pictures again. Do we want to just ping pong it? Okay.
So, why should you know what they are? How do they impact your experience in the SCA?
Why do we care?
So, because the SCA is a LARP. It's a lot of things, I know.
Oh, you said it out loud.
But
Heaven forbid.
The SCA is a LARP, and so we're using these to help set the tone. We're using them to help set the mood. And so they're what help us role play and what help you understand who's what in the SCA.
Mm-hmm. The awards, insignia, regalia, courtly graces, they also help us. They're actual tools that we use to recognize in-game actual skill, service, and tenure in the game, as well as tenure, dedication and commitment. They're all very cool things.
And then we love a shorthand.
Love a shorthand, yes. Yes, and then I made this, I love lists. Awards, regalia, and courtly graces allow us to, it's a LARP, we all gotta be speaking the same language, otherwise it's a really confusing LARP. It's a really confusing game, and it's a very confused community if we're not all talking about the same thing. So it gives us a common language, lets us recognize actual stuff, efforts, work. Can I have that? Leaning into the immersion. If I go, yo, Escarlata, that's very different than saying, good day, Hidalgo Escarlata. It lets us immerse ourselves a little bit into the environment. And this is the fun one. It gives us a framework around and through which we can lace our personas, our persona history, our game history, and our own creativity. And it's kind of the foundation upon which we build all this other stuff. So now, awards, regalia, courtly graces. What are awards?
Fun.
Hey, that's a good answer. Awards in the SCA, this is my definition slide, are honors or recognitions, they can be either, that bear with them insignia, by that I mean things you wear, titles of address, precedence or rank within the organization, and privileges and or duties. Any number of these things can come with an award, which means it's very broad. And if you get to the end of the day and you're like, that seems like a lot, that's okay, because it is a lot.
Just like last time, these slides will be up later.
Yes. Yeah. No, I'll just share them online.
So we have our two types of awards. One being the Kingdom or Society Awards. So actually, I guess technically three types. So Society Awards, those are the Peerages. Kingdom Awards, and then our local awards. And then there can be multiple types of awards within the Kingdom and local awards. Mm-hmm. So Kingdom Awards, those are approved by the current ruling nobility, and then can be given out by them, their heirs, the territorial prince and princess, or various other title that applies, a Vidhame, or any landed or court noble of Onsteora.
Mm-hmm.
So,
when given approval by the crown.
Yes, when given approval by the crown.
The crown or any of their representatives, which can come from that huge pool of people. And Yes, you do that one. Local awards.
Yeah, and then local awards by the local landed.
Yes.
We can't really do
So this is our handy chart. There are 4 types of awards given by the Crown. And at this point, I'm going to use given by the Crown as equivalent to Kingdom Award, even though peerages, like you mentioned, are like recognized across the entire internationally. That is a fact, and I'm now going to stop making the distinction. At the kingdom level, so Texas and Oklahoma, there's basically 4 main categories of recognition that you can get. 3 of these categories come with rank, and 1 does not. The first rank that you can get is an Armigerous award. These grant the Award of Arms, the first rank-bearing award that you can receive, and there's lots of different types of award within that category. Second category is grant level awards. This gives the second level of rank-bearing awards that you can get. Again, there's a bunch of different categories, a bunch of different awards within that category. And then peerages, awards that grant a patent of arms, which is the third level of rank-bearing award that you can receive. And then there's a bunch of other stuff, because everybody continuously is like, man, I can recognize X, Y, Z, and then you go, oh, but that's really cool too, and I really would like to recognize it. And that non-Armigerous awards a lot of times fall into, these are additional things that aren't necessary. They aren't rank-bearing, but they're things that we still want to recognize.
Sometimes, like off on its own in a 4th position is royals, just in general, which are the 4th rank, but it's not an award, because the royals don't give themselves royalty. They just are royals.
Yes, it's a rank that is accompanied by a position or office that is held, rather than something that is like, bing, you get a gold star, you're now a king because I said so. That's not how royalty works.
Yep.
So it's a byproduct of office or a recognition because of service that you've done through an office. Yay, technicalities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is royalty equivalent to or supersedes peerage?
It supersedes.
Supersedes, especially it's like sitting royalty is in within the College of Heralds. Rank bearing, there's actually formulas that calculates across Texas and Oklahoma. You put everybody in a line based on rank, and everybody has a number.
Literally did that. We could literally do it.
And so
there's a website for it.
there's the AOA is generally carries the first level rank, second, third, and then royal carries a higher weight in that formula.
Fun fact, right now, we outrank dukes and duchesses.
Because we are
Right
currently
here.
because we
Right
are currently
here. Only here.
seated.
Because
We are nobility in fief. We are actively serving as nobility, which makes our rank in precedence equivalent to the first landed nobility of the Barony. So we get to like subsume
Yeah,
their
we
rank
are- we
because
are-
we are currently
we are just under
which is
the
just
crown
cool.
because we are the crown here.
Yeah. It's fun.
Game changer.
Yeah, we both received an award in like 1979, according to the OP.
Yep.
Yeah, on paper. Okay, so these charts are for reference. This is not a memorize it, but I did break down these 4 categories each on one slide. So Armigerous Awards is the first rank of award that you can get. What's your talking to a newcomer, 1 sentence, what's the AOA level award?
An AOA level award is like, you belong. You're doing the thing.
You're doing the thing. You're in our community. And there's different categories it breaks out. So the way that these are is you can get awards for combat. It's called the Sable Talon. Arts and Sciences, Sable Thistle. And then there's a number of AOA level service awards that you can get as well. The kind of default service is the Sable Crane. That is service to the kingdom. There is service to small groups, shires, cantons, strongholds. That is Sable Comet, right? And then you have service to children, and then a service to the crown, which is a fun one because he actually holds 2 of these, which are either a king's gauntlet or queen's glove, which is an award specifically given by the crown to say, you gave service to me during my reign, I'm gonna recognize it.
And there's 2 levels of those. If you kind of did some cool stuff, they give you a gold star.
They give you a gold star.
Yeah.
Which is a non-armigerous.
Yes.
Which is an Armigerous.
Which I don't think I have that one on my slides.
Yeah.
It's not on the website.
And then also, actually, there is one other Armigerous group award, which is each barony
Yeah, I was like, that's
weird.
has their service order. So
yeah, it's service to the barony, but technically it's given to the crown. It's a
Yes.
weird, like, we're asked for seeing this.
Do you have your
There's
phone?
not going to be a quiz.
Yes.
I'm gonna type out add local
I got
service awards to the slide. I'll add that to this slide because it should be here. Typically, local service awards, the Armigerous local baronial service award is typically given by landed nobility. And I was thinking like kingdom, so I forgot about it.
So we got to get permission.
You have to get permission from the crown. That's why.
Yeah. So second rank, you notice a theme. These are all woven bands. Again, service.
Sometimes they come with.
So this is an interesting. This is interesting, but draw no conclusions from it. Lots of breakdown for service in the first rank. In the second rank, lots of breakdown for combat. The Star of Merit, however, and the Iris of Merit are both omnibus awards, which means you can get a Star of Merit for any different types of service. It's very, very broad. Instead of trying to say, I'm going to list out every possible category of service, that would work. And so the combat is a lot easier to break down, so that's what you see.
That's just how we did it.
And my one word for grants
Yes, what is a grant?
would be like, hey, you're getting good at the thing.
And you're kind of like taking initiative
Kind of
and
the thing.
kind of, maybe you're starting to teach, maybe you're doing some classes, maybe you're starting to command, you're taking the step from just doing the thing to like, well, now you're kind of moving toward the front, for pushing the line thing. These are all the combat ones, I believe, are all often worn as garters on the left leg or arm. I'm gonna put a big asterisk on that because I'm now full of doubt.
It depends. So
Um.
a lot of people will have like
Help.
yeah. So a lot of times people will have a golden lance and something else because they do equestrian and they do some sort of fighting,
Mhm.
and so they may have them as actual garters on their actual legs.
Yeah.
on both sides.
And the important thing about these woven bands is one, the hardware, we don't care about it. It's standard stock photo, we don't care. And the important thing about these is the pattern of striping. So missile combat, if it's white, black, gold, right? That is an arc d'or. Golden lance, if you've got gold with black, that is gold lance. Centurion, red with gold, with star on it. Centurions is a sable star. Blade of merit, black, gold, red. I think it's based on some kind of snake.
No, we made that up.
You made that up. Okay. Star of merit, black and gold. Iris of merit, rainbow. And we do have examples of these, which we'll kind of paw through, and we can show you guys what these look like. All of these things, we run it on an event, especially if you're new, you're not going to notice them. It takes time and practice to, one, learn what they look like, and then recognize what they look like when someone has woven it into a thing. So it's all
Or we'll frequently,
time and
and we'll
practice.
sometimes modify it to be like the
Very-
concept of the thing.
Yeah.
This is what-
This is my name.
Yeah.
Is there significance to the Arc d'Or being the Ringelad colors?
So literally, okay, so the Arc d'Or is a little bit different. So the Blade of Merit is something that we came up with in Obscura. The Centurion we came up with in Obscura. The Golden Lance we came up with in Obscura. The Arc d'Or we signed onto a charter. Somebody else started it. and
Another
so
kingdom.
We did not actually choose the colors or anything else. We signed on and said, yes, we should recognize people that do missile activities. And so we didn't actually design that one. So it was a complete coincidence.
So come back around to the time that
Yeah.
Obscura
And,
did that.
and in fact, even though this does have the bgwlad colors, this doesn't actually conflict with bgwlad awards that we give out. Even the things that we give out are distinct from this in their design.
Second question.
Yeah.
Are these kingdom specific? Does On Tier have different
They do.
grants?
Yep.
Colors
Yes.
different?
Yep.
Yeah, the place, unless
Armigerous,
like a situation with the Arc d'Or, where
about the
multiple
life
kingdoms
Yeah.
sign on to something,
Mhm.
that's the only time where they will be across the kingdom, unless it is a peerage.
yes.
Peerage
So,
is the same across
you-
everybody.
Yeah, and that's the kind of the running rule. Peerages are the same across, and then everything else can vary, but it may be uniform if there's treaties
So
or whatever.
there is definitely a grant level combat award for steel weapons in all the kingdoms.
Yes.
But what it's going to be called is completely different based on what kingdom.
Yes.
And what it's also like.
Yeah, like in the East, you
And
can
like
be an ogre.
the how they
Yes.
typically, you know, a lot of our stuff ends up being like ankle woven bands. In other kingdoms, there's the one that does like the 7 flat braids. Like that's their standard, the way they make their insignia. So it can be wildly different.
Well, in the East, you wear like a sashy thingy.
Yeah, they do.
That's
I don't know about these.
whatever. Basically, kind
They
of.
have
All right, the third rank, recently updated.
Well, and we'll talk about why.
So we have the same sort of thing. So Order of the Pelican is service. Order of the Laurel is the peerage level award for arts and sciences. And then there are four, I say it's only 3 orders, because there's only 3 orders for combat across the society. The current 3 orders for combat that we have across the society include the Order of Chivalry, which is our rattan combat. I was
And
trying to make a
it's
list.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
broken down
Fighting.
into the Knights of the Society and then Masters at Arms.
And the distinction there is when they are given that award and inducted into the order, do they choose to, for their tenure, swear an oath of fealty to the crown?
If you don't,
And if you
you're
don't-
master.
If you do, you're called a knight. If you don't, it's Master of Arms. And then we have the Order of Defense, which is steel combat, and Order of the Mark, which is brand new for ranged martial pursuits. One thing that's worth pointing out, because this is something I'm hoping to see our society grow into, so notice we have a grant level order for equestrian activities.
Not quite there yet.
There is not a peerage. And that is
Specifically carve
something
that out.
that up until like 6 months ago, this one didn't exist either. So we are actively growing as a society at the international level to like recognize these things, which is kind of cool. Do you have anything else to say about these? Boop. I think there's 2 pages of
two
these.
them. Yeah.
There's 2 pages of non-armigerous. Other things you can get recognized
So
for.
much stuff.
So, and a lot of the non-Armigerous awards are because, like, you might just keep being awesome and being awesome a lot of times. And so the crown doesn't want to limit themselves to how many times you can be awesome.
Mhm.
And so you'll see on, besides the asterisk, which is can receive multiple times.
Mhm.
So
Minus
Sable
2
flare.
awards. Yeah, it's a minus 2 awards, you can get a bunch.
Yeah, all these they're three-stranded braided cords is what they are. They're based on, and all of those are like
I'm sure you could technically twice. I looked
you
at the chart.
Games archery, you can.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And it's the crown. You know, you're doing awesome things in rapier combat, and you're excelling on the field. But you know what? You have stood out because you, I don't know, commanded the field spectacularly for a couple events in a row, and they're like, you know what? That right there, you get it. We want to acknowledge that.
Someone from the opposing army came to the ground and said this person was a badass.
Yep.
That's how you got hurt.
And they say, you know what? You get one. So they're repeat non-armigerous. You can receive them multiple times, and then our non-armigerous also awards for youth. So folks who are under the age of 18 can also get recognized for our service in combat. So that's what these the Aurea
Yeah, Aquila.
Aurea ones.
Aria.
Lilium, Lyra, and Aquila. Those are recognizing youth who are so active at the kingdom level that the crown notices them.
Yeah, so a lot of times if you've got like your grand level, you'll have like all your stuff right here, and you'll have like a ring with all these things.
Other non-armigerous awards in Ansiora that carry no rank but are carry a little bit more significance. I want you to talk about
Yeah.
these.
So quickly, Rising Star. It's your AOA for the youth. So this is, hey, we're really noticing that you're kind of coming into your own and becoming a part of the community as a youth. Okay, all these. These are all kind of a big deal. So I'll just kind of start with the white scarf because that's one I know the best too. So the white scarf is it is the Onstioran example of other kingdoms signing on. So Onstiora created the white scarf and was the founder of the White Scarf Treaty. We are now, I believe, the only kingdom that is still actively on the White Scarf Treaty. The others have closed their orders as part of the Master of Defense coming online. And the White Scarf differentiates itself from the Master of Defense and the Blade of Merit in that it is about the cult of Gloriana or the cult of Regina. That is dedication to the Queen. So when Rapier first started in Onstiora, the heavy fighters are like, what are they doing? That's weird. And the Queens, this is the very rich version, and the Queens were like, that's cool. And so the Rapier fighters and the Queens glommed onto each other, and the Rapier fighters are like, they took care of us, we're going to take care of them. And so you will frequently hear Rapier fighters talking about a dedication to the Queen. If you go to Queen's Champion, there's a moment where all of the Legion of Swashbucklers, which is anyone in the Rapier community who wants to be a part of the Legion, is part of the Legion, goes up and gives the Legionnaire oath to the Queen and sings the Queen's Champion song for her. They almost always cry. But so this used to be the grant level award for Rapier and was kind of the grant.
Terminal.
Yeah, it was the grant level and terminal award for Rapier, and so it tended to be held up a little bit higher. So once the Master of Defense came around, the Blade of Merit was also created, and then the White Scarf was separated off as a separate one in order to sort of recognize that it's its own thing as part of this tradition within the community. Order of the Rose, former queens and crown consorts. So this is one that it will be like some of the other things that we talk about in a bit when we talk about hats. If you have been or successfully completed your reign as a crown consort, you are a member of the Order of the Rose.
Pointer, hang
on. Being a member of the Order of the Rose, especially in Onstiora, because the White Scarf ends up leading to a lot of sort of extra prestige, and the Roses will work together and organize in order to do things frequently in consort with the Rapier community as part of continuing that tradition.
Yep.
Yay. Amicitia, which is relatively new, but it is an award that is given out to anyone outside of Onstiora who has provided service to the kingdom. So it's always very fun when we get to do this. Frequently given out at wars when we're able to see other people in the kingdom. And then the Lion, which is it holds no rank, but it is the probably highest award.
Technically, it is the rarest.
It is the rarest award in the kingdom. Each crown is allowed to make a single lion, and they are the defenders of the dream. What is the dream? We talked about that in the first class. And so they're people who make the SCA come alive. So frequently it is something after years and years of hard work and supporting the SCA, someone finally gets to make a lion, and it's a really big.
Very sweet. Yeah, and so
okay, that's confusing because John is a lion, but that's not required.
Yes.
Yes. And the other thing, if as folks here or if you're watching it now or later, all these slides, the images that we have here represent the official insignia for those things. And so if you're like, I don't know what a lion wears, you go, well, okay, let's look at it. It's a lion.
It'll be a star with a light.
Star of the lion. You know, what is a rose? They wear a circle of roses. White scarves, they wear white scarves. So these are all one-to-one with like what the insignia will be.
Important to note that for the white scarf, it does designate that it is a white scarf on your left arm.
Specific.
So this does not make me a white scarf. This does not make me a white scarf. If I was not a white scarf, people would be mad about this.
Yes.
This is a different thing.
They wear wood.
So also not listed, but not technically. No, never mind. I was about to talk about the little white scarf.
Oh, no, we put a pin in that. We can talk about little white scarf afterwards.
Yeah.
Yes, question in the back, Sarah.
So not so much a question, but just a tip for other newcomers is that if you look at people's clothes, sometimes they stamp really big on them what awards they have in
Mhm.
repeating patterns. And when you start noticing that, that's really fun.
Also, to that point, too, really quick, it is important to note that the Order of the Rose, their insignia, in Ostura, is a wreath of roses. It is connected roses. It is not the rose.
Well,
Yeah.
also generally,
yeah.
and also you're right, they may be red, but they may also be black.
Mhm.
So,
Or yellow.
And artistic license, folks make them all sorts of colors, but it's the Order of the Rose. This is the important thing that like you can wear roses on you can use roses. Just don't do a circle of roses, you know, around the hem, full circle around the thing, because that's when you're kind of touching on this reserved insignia. Good. Regalia is next.
Yeah.
Any other questions about just awards in general?
All right. So what is regalia? Regalia are the emblems, symbols, or decorations that indicate one of the following: rank, title, office, position, or membership in an order.
Mhm.
So with a lot of the awards that we just went over, or with an office that you're currently holding, something that you're currently doing, regalia might help someone recognize faster that you're holding that position.
Yeah. How do you get regalia? And then I have photos that are just like examples. So how do you get regalia? Most of it comes along with getting awards in court. We saw this picture before. Someone, either the crown or their representative, calls you into court and says, I'm giving you this award. And their herald speaks the voice of truth into the universe. And then there's some paperwork. And that's how you get the award. Paperwork's important. Some regalia comes along with taking certain offices. A very specific example is our Kingdom Great Officers, Kingdom Webminister, Kingdom Chatelaine, Kingdom Seneschal. They all have a collar of office that they wear, and it's got 2 Onsero stars, and then right in the center is their badge of office. And so if you see somebody walking around with a big spider on their neck, that's probably the Kingdom Webminister.
You see to a hall at an event trying to be all gussied up.
Yes.
They'll have a big old gold key with green in the background.
Yep.
He's the
He
Kingdom
will have a
Shadow.
collar that has that on. Yes, office, crown and coronets, heirs, landed nobility, and champions, right? When you become crown, it's because you're winning a tournament. Coronets, because you're winning a tournament. Landed nobility is because you get slotted into the office after an application process and review. All of those offices come with associated regalia that we get to wear or that people get to wear at events and say, I have this position. We have 2 examples of our baronial regalia, and then we've got more photos in here as well. Because there's a lot of variety when it comes to those.
Note, when you win something, make sure you check and find out what's the regalia and what is your prize. Some of it you can keep. Some of it you must give
Some
back.
of us do need to
A lot of competitions will have pass down regalia. So here's the medallion,
Some of
here's the
there's so
weapon
much.
that you have to pass down to the next person, and then they often will come with, and here's your prize for winning.
When I won Queens, I got a tub of things. Yes.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Forgive my memory. Coronet-Coronets.
Mm-hmm.
Remind me what a coronet is in the
So-
context of the first noun.
Crown is
Also-
the king and queen.
Mhm.
King or queen, all those. Coronet is a prince and princess. We have two kinds of prince and princesses. You can be the heirs of a kingdom, or you can be a territorial prince and princess. For instance, we have the territorial principality of Vinding. And so they currently have their reigning prince who wears the Vinding coronet.
Yes. So coronet, in that context, refers to all those different offices. These physical items are also coronets. It's an overloaded term. So just be aware of that. Yay! There's ring a little bell.
It
every
also
time.
makes it easy for us to be like, oh yeah, no, these aren't crowns. We're
Yeah.
not saying they are crowns. They're coronets.
Yes. Yeah, I already mentioned awards generally match the images on the previous slides. Ooh, so now we get to point at things. So I kind of had these on. So this is a bunch of pictures. The next few slides are going to zoom in on a couple of these at a time, and this is going to be like, let's find what insignia can we recognize, and it'll be on us to actually I know the ones that I was thinking of, but we can go from there. Okay, first picture on the left. There's two things that I know I can recognize that we've talked about. It says scarf and a belt. Yes. Do we know what they mean? This is there's no wrong answers
There's no
here,
wrong answer,
and there's no points.
That's done.
So scarf, is it a scarf? What do we think you're talking about?
The resolution is low, but if those are the right colors, then
Yeah.
that's either chivalric or rapier.
Uh-huh.
For the belt, I believe it's rapier.
So for the belt, it is these things. What do we think it is?
All right.
Oh, here I can real quick.
All the way back.
So, and then yes, the
Please be like,
scarf
who did
is-
tell me
No,
that?
That's fair.
We didn't think
I can help you
what the mod stuff is.
No, we didn't talk about any of it.
So
So that we're just throwing in nonsensically. Middle picture. This is His Excellency and I at Candlemas, and we're actually just going to skip to this one. Of what things in this picture look similar to stuff we've seen on previous slides. I have three in my mind that we can point out.
Black, red, and yellow one.
Here,
Ooh,
Yeah.
we also left out a non-armigerous. It's
the
not really an award. Yeah.
I can add that
Did we
too.
discuss that?
Yes, the black, yellow, gold, or black, gold, and red, gold, and black. Wow.
Yeah.
Red, gold, and black.
That's our guess.
Steel weapon,
All right.
that's what it is.
Yes, steel weapons.
Yeah.
And the way that we think about it is because it's the bomb. And did anyone else learn the red on black friend of Jack? Red and yellow, kill a fellow.
Yeah.
Red on yellow, you'll kill a fellow. So that's for the steel combat because you're dead.
Oh.
So,
There's the white scarf in addition.
Yep.
There's another one there.
I
And
can't
there's-
tell if it's black and yellow without the red in the middle, or if
It's
that's
fine.
an extension of the black, red, and yellow.
Yep.
It
That's
is
a
a
separate
separate thing.
that is specifically
So black and
a
yellow.
Star of Merit.
Yeah.
So it's a grant level service award. And the point of this doing on these slides is just to practice, be like, oh yeah, I do see it.
And also that I had a bunch of other random stuff on
here.
and only one of them means something.
Yes.
We'll come back to that.
We'll come back to this.
They all
Shield.
mean something.
What? Yeah.
Yes.
Only one other one is Regalia.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Okay. So this one is the,
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, you guys are being tricky.
I know we are being tricky. And we're going to come back to this picture again later. In this picture, what stands out is like, that could be Regalia.
That's the Baron Stargate on the right.
How do you know?
You know,
All right.
Drake.
How do you know?
Because the towers.
Hey, there we go.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
I was
How
gonna
how
say
has
my right.
powers?
The pearl.
This one?
You're right.
This one,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So you were so close, and now
So
so far
you-
away.
can you say-
Almost brilliant. And then you like
You
clarified.
were brilliantly wrong, but it was brilliant because of right information.
Yeah.
So,
That's the
it
Baron
is in fact,
Stargate.
that is the Baron of Stargate.
I was like, damn, you're
I was like, wow.
I'm
However,
exception and glad the camera is not on me.
now
Yeah.
it's it's kind of unfair
I feel like we
because
should like hold them to account for this because
The
that's
fact that
just
you pointed the right one
Well,
and
it is-
the wrong one.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, because we
One
also
has
have the
two
Barony
towers,
North.
and one has one tower, and
Yeah.
that's where you screwed up.
Yeah,
Is there two
this is
towers?
the
Yes.
resolution.
Yeah, it's very low.
And it's also
I was kind of glad I can see.
yeah.
well, and this is also a thing to point out. So the requirement for landed Coronets is that it hold the insignia of the group. This one is a loose interpretation of that, and that it has the crossed halberds,
Mhm.
but it does not actually have the arms of the group.
Yep.
These, if you don't look at it closely, you're like, that doesn't have bgwlad. It just dragons that are
halberds,
cool,
no nothing.
which they are. However, right in front
In the center.
is the small arms of
The
the group.
device of our group.
Oh, I didn't see. I could see that about the dragons. Though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's what we need to.
Oh yeah, you want to
Yeah.
hold them in front of the camera? I don't know if that's gonna take. I might put
We
some
tried.
pictures overlaid later.
So the pearls
Um,
on top. That denotes barony as well, correct?
Nope.
No.
It does not denote barony and fief. We're gonna talk more about hats in a minute. So put a pin in that one.
Certain
But
pearls.
the reason I included these in here is because it's not always clear what the hats mean. When they are wider than a certain amount, you may or may not be able to tell right off the
As
bat.
demonstrated by.
And I'm gonna just point out on this one a number of things. Where's the thing? Where's the pointer? Because this, if you view the slides later, is a lot easier in review. You see another coronet with pearls, right? You see here, white bracer. We shouldn't talk about a whole lot, but that's the arc d'or. They can also do a bracer. This is a really fun one because it is both an iris of merit and a star of merit. They're woven into the same length. That's here. Star of merit here. Have an arc d'or here. And then it was very blurry after that. This is my friend and Pelican, Mistress Caitlin, who was wearing all of her finery at Candlemas. Hell yeah! Picture. Okay, this was for the roses.
So yes, this is Countess Elizabeth.
Who
Now-
goes here?
Now denizen of bgwlad.
Yes.
So this necklace, which you can look at on the slides closer, is just a ring of roses.
Mhm.
And so that is how she is denoting that she's a member of the Order of the Rose.
Yes, and this is
Also-
Duchess Sonia, who's not only wearing a necklace of roses, but also has rose trim on her garment.
Something else to note, look at the shapes of the tops.
I have more slides for that.
Okay.
We're getting ahead. I have the whole section on hats. Just things that we talked about so far. And then this, I think this is the last one. Should recognize maybe a couple of these people. So yeah, I know that guy. And this is, I threw this in here because we talked about the chivalric grant level, which is the Order of the Centurion of the Sable Star, which this is kind of the standard official regalia. This is what it is. Except that the one that you see more often is
A centurion cloak.
Centurions of the Sable Star. Same eagle with the star, but it's usually baked into a cloak is what you'll see way more often than the garter. And I'm actually going to skip that one.
All right. So what are courtly graces? Above all, courtly graces are.
Subjective.
So there is a lot.
But I did also try to define it.
Yes. So the manners and behaviors that are demonstrated by those of noble class in the SCA and formal environments. Everyone in the SCA is a noble, even though your first award grants you your. Everyone is my lord and my lady to start, or armiger, and then you can become lord, lady, armiger, whatever title you want with your AOA. But so everyone has the rights and ability and privilege of acting courtly.
Yes. And that's a kind of a specific thing with the organization. That's like, that is a rule for the org. It's like everyone who participates in this organization is considered to be a noble. And that is specifically to avoid the problems of you peasant, you serf, and like icky power dynamic stuff tied into history. We were like, no. Everyone is noble.
Yeah.
That doesn't prevent you if you want to pursue that for your guard, for your persona. Doesn't matter, but it's just like everybody's noble.
History as we wish it had been.
Yes. So yeah, courtly graces can include, but is not limited to, titles and forms of address, which is one of the most common ones that we'll see. Greetings, how you approach people, bowing, kneeling, standing in certain places, ceremonies, most often you'll see in court. Also things like the etiquette and your appearance. Very broad. Biggest question. How do I know what title to use? Most of the time, you can deduce somebody's title from their regalia, or very often their coronet, whatever they have on their head. This is that overloaded term, coronet. Coronet, thing on the head. If you don't recognize anything, solid default, you say my lord, my lady, good gentle, good noble, all perfectly fine. If you see somebody with a wide hat, wide coronet, right? This is inch or so wide. Your Excellency. Safe out of the gate. If you only remember those two things, say good noble and your Excellency, you're good. As far as like starting courtly graces, that'll get you going. And then I have titles by rank. So we had Armigerous awards or AOAs, grant levels, and our peerages have a set of kind of default titles that go with them. And so if I have thin cornet.
Do you have a thin band, fillet.
I didn't bring
Then
mine.
I might say Lady kolfinna.
Hello. Who's got it? AOA level. This applies for, on that slide, if you recognize Sable Talon, Sable Thistle, Armigerous first rank awards, this also applies. You can say Lord, Lady, and then the gender neutral one, which we do in court, is Armiger. Say, Armiger Orazio. Great to see you today. Congratulations on your Sable Thistle. I should put quick links in here. Grant level.
So this is just taking that step up where you are now honorable. You are required to be honorable.
Oh no, that's
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can do honorable lord, honorable lady, honorable armiger. You can also just say honorable Orazio. And this, you see that most often if you're writing it or typing it. It's like honorable, the wonderful, spoke to honorable Orazio today, and we discussed the plans of our excursion into the barony of the steppes. That's how you could kind of lace those in. And then peerages, the big one.
Master, mistress, magister. This is where people find lots of different ways to say it. Sometimes the master and mistress gets a little
awkward.
yeah. So yeah.
There's, if you want to dig into, this is the kind of your starter set of titles by rank. So if you recognize the words on the slides, you say, I know I can say armiger. I know I can say honorable. I know I can say master, magister. There's the College of Heralds, and I think it's society level, has an entire page dedicated to alternate titles by like time period and culture. If you want to find one that fits for you. This is just a drop in the bucket.
Can you please remind me what the title is?
Oh yeah, so I am a member of the Order of the Pelican, and my preferred title, because I don't like mistress, is Hersirkona. So as Baroness, I am Hersirkona. This is Hersirkona, and so it's the one that's more appropriately tied to my persona. And then other than that, I like master. I did include in here specific. These are a grant, a peerage, and a non-armigerous have specific titles that we use in Austriora. The grant level, heavy, Shiv award, we call them centurions. The peerage level heavy chivalric, we call them knights, sir, dame. There's also Radari, Canari. There's a lot of variations on there as well. And then the white scarves, I don't say white scarf Orazio, we say Don or Donya are very common. So these are for reference later.
Yes. Are Dawn and Donya also used for the peerage aspect, or just
Ah,
the
no,
white?
Ah.
I think so. And
Ta-da.
you're wrong.
Yeah.
That's why
Need to
I
ring the bell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
By
no.
the time the alternate title
Oops.
page came around, we'd already infected the
It was-
SCA with
it's
our
already been
dirty
stolen
word.
by-
It was so ingrained in our community that we don't use Don or Donya for the peerage,
So if you're someone
even though it
at my
could
rank,
apply.
maybe 1500 Spain, who would normally be a Donya, you become a Iloa because you don't have land.
So that's a quirk of the community and not the history.
So Dawn and Donya used for the wider SCA internationally as the proper title of the dress.
It is because there are still so many white scarves out there.
Okay, here's what
Yes.
So for reasons that I can't explain, I'm working on it. Spanish titles have not been formalized yet. I don't know what's up with that. So I'm actually working on that one. So maybe we'll see.
So the order
probably
was not
just-
established with a form of dress built in.
The order was established with
Yes.
a form of dress built in,
Mhm.
and it became a problem for anyone who was doing
Spanish.
anything Spanish.
Who
Because
then
we
got a
take it.
peerage, yeah. Yes.
So
Other really important questions. Do folks always wear their appropriate headgear and regalia? Nope. They don't. And you are not expected to know or deduce what you cannot see. In general, treat everybody with dignity and respect. We can always learn, relearn, or unlearn titles as we go. That happens for any number of reasons. Don't stress if you don't know the form of a dress. And then again, the basic default, my lord, my lady, good gentle, good noble, for anybody. And then if you see a wide hat, this hat, coronet, your excellency. You've got two go-tos. Don't stress about anything else, and everything else you can learn along the way. But now we can do the deep dive into coronets. Because I read a lot of sumptuary law, and I feel very confident about these slides.
It's not that long.
No, but
there was an incident.
there was an
no.
incident.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So yeah,
We
this
can
is
get into
the most common way that you're going to be able to recognize, like, deduce somebody's form of a dress, assuming they're wearing it. And so this is my little chart. So there's 4 categories that we can break it down to. In category number 1, anybody, everybody can wear, what did you call it? Fillet. So 1/2 inch or smaller. Circle around the head. Use it to hold your veil down, hold your hat down. Those are totally fine. Anybody can wear those. You see those? You're talking good noble, my lord, my lady. Next category, just very broad. And we've already seen from these 2 examples and the photos, very broad. A lot of different ways this manifests. But basically we're talking court baronies or barony in fief. Barony in fief means currently sitting in the office of nobility. Court barony means you were granted it as an award, and you are now member
Remember, the
of
court of Anstiora.
the court of Anstiora.
Or Era.
It makes things extra confusing. If you're a baron in fief and you stop being that, you become a court. Damn
Yes.
it!
Yeah.
That makes
And
sense.
so there's kind of 3 ways that this manifests. One, they have to be 1/2 inch or wider. So that's a minimum. They have to be sufficiently wide. They can have no adornments. That means like this. It's a big, flat, wide band. There's nothing, no baubles, no points, no nothing on top. That's one way. Second way, and this is according to sumptuary law, they can be adorned with 6 to 12. They can have points that are adorned with, they call them orbs, or adorned points, right? Those are kind of the main categories that you see. The 6 to 12 is important. All of this is important. And there's absolutely a lot of coronets that don't follow these rules. Because it's pretty.
Well, and if you see someone who's not following the rules, the first thing you talk to is the herald that's standing next to you. Because heralds get to enforce this.
I guess, I don't know. And so you can have the wideband with spheres, or points with spheres, orbs. Points with orbs, wideband with orbs. That's according to the rules. Any one of those could be either a sitting landed noble or somebody who's a court nobility.
If it has the full regalia, or is that weird one?
Yeah.
That's how you know, oh, it's a landed baron and not.
Yeah, I have. I'm getting there. The other two common ones we see that have a distinct skyline are county. So that is someone who has served one reign as crown. They get to have crenellated coronets instead of points. They get crenellations, little square divots. If you've had someone who served multiple reigns as crowns, they get to have. I think it's also still. They're not limited on points, but they get to have strawberry leaves at the top of their peaks or on their coronet. Crenellations, strawberry leaves, and then these are the other things that are not really well defined, and we break the rules all the time. Kings and queens often have 4 points, but they don't have to. Sometimes they have 12. But they don't have the orbs on top. Naked points. They almost always have some sort of device or badge of the kingdom. And so if you're seeing something with lots of points and it's got Ansir stars on it, you're like, that's probably, it could be a king, queen, princess. Princes and coronets often have 3. We've kind of drifted away from this, so it's less clear. Same thing, they'll have the insignia of their kingdom or principality on them. And then landed nobility, sitting ones will have the symbols of their group. So for us, halberds, dragons, or Stargate, towers, Ravensfort, ravens.
North Keep, more towers.
More towers.
Bonwick, towers.
Lots of towers.
On towers.
That's what I was confusing.
I also have a thing, titles. If you recognize
The strawberry leaves.
strawberry leaves, we're talking Your Grace, Duke, Duchess. Those are the titles that are associated with that. Crenellations, Your Excellency, Count, Countess. Everybody else, Your Excellency. Everything in that weird category. And then kings and queens, we say Your Majesties. Prince and Princess, Your Highness. Those are the titles.
There is also in the county the viscounties, which are for those who have served as territorial territorial. What's the term?
Territorial prince.
Territorial prince and princess. Prince and princess.
Territorial coronet.
Yeah, cornet. Thank you. And they are viscount, viscountess, and still your excellency. A lot of excellence.
Everybody's excellent. This is the cheat sheet. If it's very thin, Armiger, Lord, Lady. If it's wide, Your Excellency. If you can recognize additional details, then you can get into Your Grace, Your Highness, Your Majesty, and kind of go from there. But in general, you just you have your 2 starting terms, and you kind of go run everything else from there as you get more familiar. Let's look at pictures. So,
Let's try this again.
so we have 4 categories, which is anybody. We're going to say court nobility, county, and duchy. We're just going to see what we can recognize. So, Vanna,
Anybody.
Anyone.
Anybody.
what would you call them? Yep,
It works.
court. I heard it.
Also, court.
Of course, that's Your Excellency. How do you know that it's court nobility?
Orbs.
Orbs and width. Because you can have a very thin thing with orbs on it, and it still wouldn't count as court nobility.
What is rightmost? Am I right?
Bernal.
Right?
The fellow who I mistook.
That's
Oh,
the
this
other
one?
That's
Yes.
Bernalfer. He's
Brynolf.
Yeah. He is
Baron-
our cousin over in Bonwick.
And they have multiple sets like we do. we have multiple sets of our cornets that are, they have several too.
Yeah. So you're gonna be like, oh, now I know what the Stargate
And then they're going to wear
cornets
the
look like.
round
I'm gonna
ones.
wear them.
Yeah, so I feel early period, like, oh, we're in a moment, I mean, I was like this.
Well, and also sometimes it'll be like sometimes set of landeds will be like these are the ones we really like or they fit us best, and then they roll over, and then the other pair likes the other set, and you're
I
like
have a
it's
big
like
head,
they
so-
have a completely
They're
different.
totally new. Nobody's seen them before. Yep. All right, next one.
One more question.
Yeah.
Do I need to go back?
Guesting at other chapters, for lack of a better term, events. For example, when we were at the Bjornsburg Roman in the round,
Mhm.
and I don't recall you wearing your coronet.
I was wearing
Just
this
wearing the
one.
flop.
Okay.
I was wearing the flat one.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that is perfectly fine and allowed. It isn't
Yes,
stepping
Yes.
on.
because they're cousins.
Yes. Yeah, and any event that we attend, like unless we're in the middle of like unloading and setting up or whatever, like we're gonna have our cornets on.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
same if any nobility come to our event, heirs, king, queen, we all wear. We're supposed to
Unless
wear
there's
them.
shit
My
or
fault you never
something
done.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
No, it's okay.
Okay. What about this one? I heard it. County.
County.
Yes.
Mhm.
So it's because it has the battlements.
Crenellations. How about this one? Touchy
Yes.
leaves. Strawberry leaves, but if it's like that looks like a leaf. Yeah. Duchy. Duchess.
Try a little bit.
We're
Yeah,
saying
so-
point.
We have your grace
No worries.
for the duchy. Duchess Sonia. I say it because I know her name, Sonia. This would be your excellency or Countess Elizabeth.
Thing to note.
Yep.
This is also his grace.
Yes.
You can't see it because he put his coronet in a hat, which is great. I love doing it, but it can make it difficult to see. So
Yeah.
that's not on you.
I don't think it's blurry. This is right here is his knight's chain. It's the gold knight chain. That's another symbol of the knight, but you can't see it.
I think also he has like a huge thing of strawberry leaves as a cloak that he wears while he's wearing that hat.
I think he
so
does.
He makes it obvious.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the quick and rundown on both regalia and coronets and titles of address based on coronets. Any questions? Otherwise, we're going to move to court. Okay.
What is court? So court is
A great drinking game.
court is where the crown or nobility makes proclamations, changes to law, announces awards, recognizes winners and champions.
Mhm.
Note, if the kingdom law is being changed, it must be read into court.
Mhm.
So this is part of things being official. This is also, if an award is being given out, it needs to be given out in a court.
Mhm.
That can include courts that pop out of nowhere. And so you might suddenly be doing a thing at an event, and then somebody starts yelling, and then there's people with hats around, and it's because it's a court now.
You go, oh.
So
Court.
it is
Oh,
also
rolling court.
a high persona component of events. So this is where people will get all gussied up if they desire, and kind of really lean into that persona play.
Mhm.
Yes. And then a time to celebrate all the awesome stuff that our friends do.
Mhm.
So it's really a great opportunity, especially the more people you get to know, to get to see them recognized for all the hard work they do.
Mhm.
Like back in the day, you had like older family, they had like going to church clothes, you had like you actually like to be at church. It's kind of what court is.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
I have on one of the, we're not
There's-
there yet, but I have, imagine how you, like, picture a graduation ceremony, but like add some medieval flair. It's that sort of like, we're celebrating, we're all here
But
together.
cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all nerds.
So-
Temperature.
What happens in court? There's an opening of court, so you have opening words, and this is, hey, it's now official. Words that are said matter with some wiggle room. The
Words may have
business,
meaning.
yes,
They might.
business, where it is people being called up. So again, requesting the presence of, people will come up or a representative, and frequently the landed nobility or the crown will talk about how awesome the person is, what they did, and then bestow upon them the regalia and a scroll in order to for them to recognize it. So, and then when that's all done, close it down.
Say once we're done, these words no longer matter.
Well, so a lot of times in opening words, because we have to leave it over to those only words, we don't have the with these words does close. They'll say with these words does end for the time being.
Or does
Frequently, court will
this
be
court
put into recess. And frequently, you'll notice too at some of our higher persona events that after morning court, the herald will make a note of court not being closed, and that awards could be given out at any time.
Which is your signal that there may be a ruling. And
Yes.
if you're nervous about court because you might be called in front of people, you can
Yeah.
one app and you can say, hey, please don't put me in front of a bunch
Yes.
of people. I'm not cool with that.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Main key players in court. I've broken this into 4 categories. Number 1, we have the royals. I use that as an overall category for the crown, king, queen, their heirs, prince and princess, territorial nobility, court baronies, landed baron and baronesses. It's the nobility who are presiding over the court. Yes, landed nobles sometimes will have a court separate from the crown, and so there often will be landed nobility that says, no, we are presiding over this court all by ourselves. We have to have permission. It's the whole thing. We can't just go rogue.
If we're giving out our Armigerous awards.
Giving
Giving out our local awards, then we can't have it.
2 other major features of a court will be the voice heralds. These are the people who are announcing the words of nobility to the populace and folks assembled. They are the ones who are speaking the official words that change the law, that make the awards go into effect, that do the things, and they really are doing the vocal labor of the official ceremonies of the court. And then the other major thing is entourage, and I really could call this entourage and champions because they tend to work hand in hand, is all the staff and volunteers who are behind the scenes, usually behind the thrones, helping make court happen. They are making sure the scrolls are a thing, that the insignia gets passed forward, that we have water and that our throats aren't dry. And they're organizing prize baskets and they're doing all of the behind the scenes kind of hub and bubs to make the court ceremony move smoothly. And I may actually update that to say and champions.
So, what do you do during court? While you're at court, you should stay quiet or speak softly. You don't have to not talk, but please keep it local because the people next to you might be trying to hear what's going on. And also, when everybody's talking a little bit, then it is impossible to hear what's going on in court.
Well, especially if it's like a big building, a lot of times you can see stuff.
Yeah.
And so if they call someone for award and they're like behind you and they can't hear because they're talking about something.
Yeah.
Holds up court and you're stuck there longer.
So, applaud and cheer when others do so, or when you feel it's right
So
because someone has
motivated.
been. Yeah,
Woo!
it's totally good.
Yeah.
Also, sometimes the crowd needs a prompting.
Yeah.
Like the herald gets to the crescendo of the award, but people were just clapping and they need to get restarted.
And you go, woohoo! And then everybody joins in.
Yes. And then if you are called into court, bow as you approach the thrones. So that can be as elaborate as you want, or it could be a little kneel on the pillows if you would desire. Please don't just throw your knee into whatever hard surface is there when there is a kneeling bench or pillows or something meant to save you. Also, you do not have to. If you and your knees do not like making a lot of vertical movement, you can come up and say, I would like to stand. And
Or if you're in your court garb, it's real fancy.
Mhm.
also that.
Or if you're like, this person is going to be speaking to me. I don't want to be kneeling. Those are all fine reasons.
Yes.
It's kind of a weird diet.
Listen and respond, especially when prompted.
They're going to be talking.
So, because they're going to be talking about you and they're going to be talking to you. Be courteous, general rule. Stay in court until dismissed, and they'll let you know. It's like, thank you so much. You're cute that you can get up. And then, if as you are leaving too, you can do a little bow and then court. If you are not comfortable walking into court, you can ask someone to accompany you and go up with you, or to just appear in your stead. You can just say, I don't want it.
All fine.
All completely fine. As Hersirkona mentioned, you can actually go into AMP and set your preferences for court for, like, hey, I want to know when I'm going to be called into court so that people don't get surprised. We can make sure if they always want someone to be able to be there and celebrate with them, that they can make sure that they're there. Or I definitely don't want to know when I'm going to be called into court. I love the surprise. Or don't do it.
You know, like some people will say, I don't want anything, like a rolling court, you just walk up and you give me my stuff and you walk away. And some people are cool with like a little mini court with their friends, but not being in front of a bunch of people. All of those are perfectly fine. We accommodate all of those. But you have to tell us in the end.
Yes.
Or we don't.
Otherwise, the default is we're going to give out this award. We're going to call your name in court and hope you are here. We're going to do our best to call you and check that you're here ahead of time, and then try to give you your award in court. That's like the default thing.
A note for the baronial courts is that we do not have as much access into, I believe, for...
No, not yet.
Yeah, we cannot see your court preferences, so we may call you up. If it's not something you want, we will roll with it.
Yeah.
So one thing that that as a new person I very quickly realized was that court is the one big place where everyone is gathered
Yes.
during an event. The one big place where everyone is gathered, which means also that generally if there's a photographer there, they will be taking photos during court.
Yes.
Which means if you were hanging out, lounging about on your cell phone, you might end up in the background of people's special moments in a very obviously not medieval way. And if that's the thing you care about, then that's just the thing I'm saying right now. Like, just, there's a really high likelihood that you might end up in photos at court. So,
I don't care.
medieval it up a bit.
No, I go into examples after that.
I bring one.
One other thing that I'd like to talk to about how to behave during court is that if you are headed up into court and you're so excited to get up there, you may have someone come at you.
Yeah.
It is tradition in the SCA to be escorted into court, and so someone may come up and try to escort you. It is completely fine to say,
No.
Thank
no,
you.
thank you.
Or, hey, that's fine.
Yes.
And if you want an escort, so if you're from this parody and you want an escort and I am in any way at the event, I will walk you up. Just look for me and I'll awkwardly like jump over people and
That goes for us as long as we're not stuck
as
up.
long as you're not stuck up.
As long as you're not up there, very, very happy to escort you into court. And sometimes it can be very useful if you're not used to it to have us say, okay, we're going to be walking now. If you're like overwhelmed and you're like, and now we bow, and like it can also work with somebody just kind of be your buddy to kind of guide you through it.
Fun fact, make sure you can walk in your outfit.
That's true.
Or have people.
Have a pelican.
It's happened.
It happens.
It has happened. Happens a lot, actually. More often than you'd expect.
Man, I thought it was going to go down.
So the next couple of slides I have here, I'm going to try and play the audio. So the sound's going to come from here. And it's 2 clips, I think it's just 2, from events that are examples of this. So you can kind of see what we're talking about. Because otherwise it's very nebulous.
I think everyone here's been to an event.
I think
Has
so.
everyone been able to stay for court?
You haven't, okay. I'm going to rotate this. Oh, that'll be a fun one. I haven't tested this with the audio, so we're going to bear with it. And if it's really, really terrible, we'll just narrate as we go. Is it going to autoplay?
Your Excellency now calls the court. Honorable Goodman,
wait.
Osa,
Yeah.
Your Excellency, now call.
So, pointing out key features, key people. We point the herald, person who's being the voice. The nobility presiding over the event. These are the Baron and Baroness of the Steps, which is the Dallas group. And then there's people behind them. Champions with swords.
Champions and stuff.
You're all, they're extra people.
Entourage.
Call in the court. Honorable Goodman, Osa, and Plenty to speak of the premier steps cut and thrust tournament.
This is the person running the tournament. Let me just speak about it before they leave. We bow, acknowledge the nobility.
And 3 times told you that there were either heirs or.
Thank you everyone who came out for our premier cut press tournament. We ended up with 10 fighters. It was a wonderful
You can choose
series
to.
of rounds.
So you can just go,
Our winner today won in both, he didn't lose to any of them, in addition to choosing the Baroness greatly.
this is also, I picked this as an example because you can see this is not like
Call to their court. Sir Tomas Valiant.
You also, it's a big on the tournament was like, yeah, I can go now, right?
Yeah, and they bow and they do bows.
Might have caught checking with the landed, it's like, I'm
Okay,
done.
yeah.
But you didn't tell me what to do.
Again, our person has been called in,
This
and they're now
man
kneeling
pro
in
us
front of the people and
on the field. And for his courtesy, he understood the assignment, he did it with panache, and he came and sang to me. For this, we have
She's the,
We all know that Sir Thomas Elliot, having proved his skill in just an armed
Royal
combat,
Blade, Royal
does
Blade
merit
is
and
the
by our
kingdom.
pleasure is named the Steps Barone Cut and Thrust Champion. This is so done and given in our Merit of the Steps on Saturday, January 4th, outside
crowns have 4. No,
being
not all of them.
on 2025. John,
But they
Mary,
big.
Isabella, Baroness.
fancier the crown.
There's, I mean, that's the thing too, there's a very.
Early period crown.
we have this lovely passed down
Some
medallion.
bit of trivia about this.
This is a gold medallion
People,
in
when
the
the
form
finals
of
go in and do
Bryce.
sizing,
Bryce
so they
is
can have.
a symbol of prowess and of
Someone got.
See,
prowess.
these have ties, and these have adjustable. You can remove the panels to the different size ones in, so they'll often resize the coronets before a big ceremony.
Which also is an important thing to know is that the cornet, only working, they might have sizing bits because they're.
Coronets champion, cut and thrust course by Merit Steps. We won.
And then because he's a champion, he's going to stay up there, and so he's going to pass the stuff off.
Yep.
Stand behind and the whole thing.
So a thing to note is that both of the individuals who came up were called into court. There is one circumstance in which people can come into court uncalled for, and that is the Lions of Onstiora. They have that distinction, is that they can come into court unbidden. They might come up and talk about whatever.
Usually
Lions,
to emphasize a point.
yes, usually to emphasize a point. An important thing that Lions either know or have to learn is that they have the permission to come into court unbidden. They do not have permission to leave. Which is every once in a while, the Crown, when someone's using that power a little bit too much, be like, hey.
You can't leave yet.
But yes, if you have something that you need, this is also important, if you have something that you need announced in court, or you would like the opportunity to come up, maybe give something out, coordinate ahead of time
In
with
advance.
landeds, with their head of entourage.
I will just add to this. Well, respect in keeping the fantasy as it is very important. As I kind of demonstrated up there, It's not super.
It's not so
grim.
formal. Yeah.
At the event I was at roaming around referencing.
Yeah.
It was
Mhm.
so much fun to go to.
Incredible. Yeah, it's usually a lot of fun.
Our southern
Yes.
cousins are pretty
Her Majesty was handing out limes with every award. Someone did a
whole lime or a slice?
Isabel.
a whole lime.
Isabel brought like a case of limes for no apparent reason, and so she gave them to Her Majesty, and she's like, "Oh my sister,
What am I gonna do with all these
Yeah,
limes?
literally, it was okay. You get a award, take a lime, and then like randomly somebody else was like, "I give you 2 limes." And they're like,
It was a moment of levity amidst a lot of ceremony that was very clearly being observed.
and a lot of times crowns and nobility would do that because they don't want this to be like too serious, right? Like, now there are some solemn moments, like coronation and like crown. There'll be some solemn moments.
elevations.
Yeah. But
The elevations are cool as well.
The peerage, the peerage ceremony, which was the same thing, which I don't think she was given lime. But that ceremony was held with a very
Like, listen,
solemn.
they earned their own.
They get, I mean, unless they want it to be fun. Sometimes they want shtick, that's fine.
I had people pelted with golden coins and fake flowers during my elevation.
Okay, that's great.
Because I was bribing my way to be the captain of
That's
the
super
city
great.
guard.
I love that.
All of my
if you
competitors had died.
If you work hard enough to get that, you get to have fun with it.
Yep. You get the peerage ceremony specifically is one of the times where you get input into what that ceremony is going to look like, so that it is as meaningful for you as the award that you're receiving.
Which
So
is why there is an announcement
there's a whole
and then an elevation.
Yep.
Those things can happen at the same time if the person says, I want to do it now.
Yep. there's like a standard
Everyone's
ceremony.
thrown off by that. And so you got to hope that all the right people get up and talk for you.
Mhm.
And that somebody's willing to throw their stuff on you.
Speaking of, so for those of you that are coming to Concord this weekend, you'll see both. Well, you'll see announcements and you'll see announcements and elevations at the same time. For the don't warn.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So next video I have, so one of the things that I had in the how do you behave during court is you cheer when other people cheer. Now for clapping, right, we're all pretty used to that. But one of the things that our courts often have was a call and response. And then I'm using this clip from the end of court as an example of what those can sound like. And it's usually the herald who's saying, I'm announcing a thing, huzzah!
And everyone says huzzah.
Announcing a thing, vivat!
Vivat.
Vivat!
Vivat.
Vivat!
Vivat.
Vivat!
Vivat.
That's what happens at Crown.
We just made
We just made airs, yay! And so this, I'm just gonna play this so you can see. Come on. No. Ending court. Go. No. Oh, I know what I'm doing.
Their Excellencies, remind the combatants left here that the ice axe competition will begin in the morning. Inspections around 9 a.m. And in the interest of brevity after this court, this now closes the court of the Hall of Excellencies, Barone Orazio and Hersirkona kolfinna. Vivat Baroness! Vivat Hellsgate! Vivat bgwlad!
Now our court is closed.
So it comes over, this is a little down, but this is the kingdom herald that counts.
My lords and ladies, this now does close this momentous court of the kingdom of Ansteora, held by our king and queen, Jean-Paul and Julian. On this night, you have seen honor given, you have seen commanders recognized, you have seen peers of the realm named, and know this, it was still 6 minutes shorter than border march. And this does close the court of the crown of Ansteora.
This sequence
Vivat
again.
Princeps! Vivat Princess! Vivat Principessa! Vivat Principessa! Vivat Rex! Vivat Rex! Vivat Regina! Vivat Regina! Vivat the sovereign lands of Ansteora!
Everybody stands up and just.
Back in the day, like after partners.
I still say it the right time every
Every
single time.
He whispers it.
Some people.
Damn you, Lachlan.
So there's a couple of examples of kind of like what that looks like.
Chimera dilemma.
Yeah, the last few slides of this are like talking about like how do you actually get these awards. So do we want to talk about anything else before we talk about award recommendations? No.
I did realize that there was one award that we didn't have, which was the Golden Bridge. I don't think.
I don't have that one on there.
It's on there, and then technically, if we consider.
Oh, and then yes, there was.
Yeah, Golden Star, Golden Bridge, Sable Shield.
Yes. So
I missed a few.
Golden
We'll add them on there.
Star. It is a non-Armigerous award given by the Crown for service to the Crown during their reign. So it is you did things, but you weren't one of the core group, which is where the gauntlets and gloves get.
Crowns will often give out like 15 to 30 golden stars for a single reign. There's a lot of them. It's a way to acknowledge like you helped. Thank you.
While
But they'll give
a
out,
Golden
like,
Star
2 to
is
4 gloves.
yes. While a Golden Star may be official insignia, frequently it is they find something that is their Golden Star.
Yes, so it could be any trinket. So like one of the times they did a tour shirt. And so it was a shirt that was printed with the different places that they had gone.
That's
cool. It was fun.
It's been shot glasses. I got a little lantern.
Yeah, like a lantern ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the Golden Bridge is the award for promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion within the kingdom, which was created Nicolette. I think that's 3. Because Nicolette was followed by Swing and Antigone.
Yes.
Yes, 3. Excellent. We did it.
Okay.
3 reigns ago by
Still
our
new.
sovereign queen Nicolette. So there's only been a couple of those.
There's only one sovereign just queen.
Yes. Sorry.
We're talking about awards. Let's talk about the queen afterwards. That's a whole detour.
And
Keep us on
then
point.
the Sable Shield, which is not an award and it carries no rank or precedence. It is a recognition given out by the Crown to those who have served in the armed forces.
And I might actually add a sample video of one of the things that traditionally happens at the start of kingdom courts, especially, is the Crown will do 2 things almost always, which is they will say, is there anyone here for whom this is your first event? Never been at court at an event, that means you.
You've been at an event and you haven't been
You haven't
to
been in
court.
court, still means you. And they will call you up, say, thank you so much for being here, have a prize.
Yay!
And they say,
Prizes!
everybody, look at this, it's a new person. And then they
Y'all go,
release you. And then the second thing they do is they say, is there anyone here who has served in the armed forces and either does not have or needs a replacement for their Sable Shield? And so that is something that happens in our kingdom courts very traditionally. Yeah.
All right.
So
This is all you because this is your baby.
So we say you get awards in court. Okay, how do they know who to give awards to?
We tell them.
We tell them. We tell the Crown. We tell the princes and princesses. You tell us who is doing cool stuff and who should be recognized. And that is a huge influencer in what awards get given out. So the Crown and their representatives, we receive award recommendations from the populace and then make the decision on what to give out and when. These recommendations are submitted to you by you, either to the Crown or to us. And then for bgwlad specifically, there's two paths to do this. To submit them to the Crown, you go to AMP, that's your.org. Amp it up. To submit bgwlad specific awards, like you have been doing great art, service, combat, or persona play in bgwlad, specifically in our group, and when you want us to recognize, go to our local bgwlad website and fill out the award recommendation form there. Again, same thing. For Kingdom Awards, you have 2 options. You can either just submit an award straight from the homepage. There's a button that says Submit Award. Or you can create an account in AMP, which will allow you to have a history of what you have submitted, which can be really helpful if you're like, did I put them in for that? I can't remember. So if you have an account, you can log in and actually have a record of what you've submitted in the past. There's other benefits too. If you're into martial combat, AMP is the same interface we use for our authorizations. So I'm generally say, go ahead and make an account. Very pro. Local awards, there's 2 different addresses that you can use. They take you to the exact same page because we have one form for bgwlad and Hellsgate awards. So submitting an award recognition in AMP looks kind of like this. You say, who's it for? What kind of award? Why?
Well, and when you start to type their name, like if they
It'll
already have an account,
auto-populate too, yeah.
You'll be like, that's how they spell their name.
Yeah, and then there's some back end stuff. So, if I'm submitting a recommendation for Orazio and he already has an account, and I type his name in the recommendation field, and I say, yep, Orazio is the one I want to do. Behind the scenes, it will also attach to your recommendation any of his court preferences that he has in there. If he has in there, I don't want to be called in a court, I always want this person to be there. The Crown gets that as a bundle with your words as well. So it's another benefit of creating an account, because then if somebody's writing about you, your preferences get attached to it. Who, which award, why? You can be as direct or as flowery as you want with your language. It can, the most important thing is let the Crown know who, for what, and why. And you can embellish it or not, however you want. Don't do that.
I think it does have like they still have to read.
There is a character limit. It's probably 2,000. That's the
Not that
default.
I'm saying I fit that good.
There's a character limit. Bullet points are fine. You can be brief, you can be flowery, you can be emotional. All of that is fine as long as it fits in the character limit.
I've literally done one that was, this is a photograph of this person in 1981 fighting on the field. They don't have talent. What the hell?
Yeah.
That was my entire thing.
You can also, So this is to look for some forms submitting things to us. This is what our form looks like. Same basic thing. Who is it for? We have, local group if it applies, because sometimes we'll get recommendations for nearby folks. And it's like, what award and why? Who, what, why? That's all we need to know. Same sort of thing on the language.
If you go to our website, you go to awards, it explains to you what each one is.
Yes.
You don't have to know.
And I can actually pull that up if folks want to see it. And then I don't have a slide on this, but you can also recommend things to us face-to-face, since we are sitting nobility. You can speak recommendations to the Crown face-to-face. You can also email things in. And generally, if it's written down, it's better, because we got a lot going on, especially at an event.
If you do not see us pull out a piece of paper and write it down, it didn't happen.
You can also scribble it down on a piece of paper and say, give it to our entourage and say, this is a recommendation for their excellencies. Can you stick it in their bag? Like, totally fine.
Almost always in the bgwlad pavilion will be a little box that's open that has a bunch of slips of paper next to it, and they are word fame slips.
And this
you
is
just be like, I saw a cool person do a cool thing.
Well,
Yes.
and that's the other thing. So you can submit stuff that's not a full award. So if you're like, I don't know if this deserves an award or not, but this person does a really cool thing, I think it's awesome,
Yep.
I want you to know. And they keep tabs, and then eventually that adds up to the end. So even if it's like a small thing and you don't know if it's worth an award, no. Otherwise they don't know.
Yeah, and so our award page, that's okay. We have different section for each of the awards that we can give out to folks in our lands. And anyone that you expand, there's a little blurb that says, this award is for the warriors, admired for skill and courage. You can also search, see who's got one. But then kind of what Escarlata was saying on our actual form, we updated this. It says, do you want to share just like brief word fame or recommend a specific award, so that you can do either one. If you want to do word fame, it says, all right, take. And you don't have to decide what award applies. You just tell us the cool thing and we'll figure out what happens there.
There's your character limit, 2,000.
Yes, it's the default for a long form text field. Yeah.
It was really easy.
So that's the end of the presentation. So now it's questions and whatever you got.
So, not last practice, but before last with Clary, the token.
Mhm.
You elaborate on that, because it was real. really sweet little thing.
Yeah, so I don't know if you saw the video of it, but Clary asked for, called everyone's attention at HIP because Clary, and got permission to do it ahead of time, wanted to bestow upon Sarah her personal favor. And so personal favor is not anything to do with this structure. It's all the community and gameplay and building connections within ourselves and our persona. And a personal favor, a lot of times you will see them given to fighters from their consort is very, very common. So if I am a knight and this is my lady, I might wear her handkerchief or the sleeve of one of her dresses or something that she has made, or vice versa. If, I'm married and my wife has a token, I might wear that while I'm on the field to represent, so that I'm representing their honor on the field. It's kind of the idea behind the personal token. And so to have that moment was a moment where Clary said, here's a representation of me and my honor that I want you to bear on the field, because I am basically like putting my name on you.
And
it's incredibly sweet.
Not running the court, but we wanted to, have it be something that everyone could bear witness to. You'll frequently also see situations like that when someone is becoming a student, which I think that we didn't talk about because it's not official regalia, is that there are symbols that are used as shorthand for you're on a path. The red scarf for cadet, the red collar for provost, the yellow scarf for proteges, yellow belt, thank you. Yellow belt for proteges, green belt for apprentices, red belt for squires. So. And those the red bracers for the Arcarius.
Yep. And so those are kind of all extensions of kind of a physical representation of saying not only do we have this connection and any level of relationship, but I also want other people to see it and know about it and like hold you to account of my honor because it's on you. And it can be extremely powerful and like amazing.
I was tearing up.
Yeah.
A little bit.
No, it's
like, I have no idea what's happening.
Well, that gesture may not have been a official everybody.
It was an excellent demonstration of courtly grace.
Yeah.
100%.
And that's there's a lot of stuff that happens in the game that's not necessarily built in and baked into like all of this. And it's part of who we are, who the community is, what's developed over time with our culture.
And the specific to favors and consorts, because we've got tomorrow, Hell's Gate is hosting a tiny tourney. If folks can make it, it'd be awesome. And then Newcomers Academy on, I think, August 14th, somewhere around there.
Yes.
We're also hosting a tiny tournament. And one of the routines, the ceremonies, if you will, for a tournament is you say the fighters have been called to the field, and there's a voice herald who is narrating essentially to everyone around what's happening here. And it says, fighters come to the field. Fighters, are you properly armed and armored? I'm gonna make sure you're safe. Fighters, please make your salutes. Or fighters, please salute the nobility of the day, which could be the crown or it could be like us. Please salute the one, whose favor you bear, whose honor you fight for this day. And that's a moment where the fighters like acknowledge, like, I'm fighting for you. And it says, please salute your opponent. And then they turn it over to the field and murder ensues.
Turn it over to the marshal. And the marshal make sure that murder ensues.
Especially at Crown Tournament this weekend, because it is required for fighters to enter with a consort, a designated consort, another person. And so especially when you get near the end of the tournament where it's like, if I win this, we will be crowned. It says, salute the one whose favor you bear this day. Like, there will be intense moments that are part of that entire tournament, and it's very cool.
If you can see past all the night butts.
Yeah.
All the nights go.
This is why when I do the live stream, so I get to park right on the corner of the field. And then I get to tell the knights to shoo because they keep talking nonsense next to the camera. Excellent. At this point, so I've turned off the screen. Any other questions that we feel are class related? Otherwise, we'll stop the recording and just devolve into following it.